Myself Prashant Tripathi, completed my LLB from Central University of Kashmir and completed my LLM, 1 year LLM from Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University Lucknow, and presently I am pursuing PhD on the topic Artificial Intelligence and Laws.
From where you are pursuing your PhD?
Baba Saheb Bhimrao Ambedkar University.
You had mentioned some subjects here, Constitution and Administrative Law. What is the second one?
So Transfer of Property Act.
That's transfer of property. Okay. Then contract and torts.
Torts.
So let me ask some simple questions from Constitution. So when somebody is stopping internet, he is infringing two fundamental rights as held by Supreme Court. So what are those fundamental rights which are violated when internet is stopped?
Sir, first important is that freedom of speech and expression under Article 19(1)(a), and second is the right to life, including the right to education. These two important fundamental rights.
There is a Supreme Court judgment which
Yes,
specifically mentions what are the rights which are being.
Yes, sir. Anuradha Bhashin versus
Yeah,
Union
so
of India.
it is not Article 21.
It's related to the right to life, sir, and freedom of speech and expression, where the 4G internet has been restored by the, not 4G sir, 2G internet speed has been restored by the Honorable Supreme Court.
My question was only specific to the article. Which particular article? You are saying 19(1)(a)
Yes, sir.
and 21. Okay, we'll discuss it later on. Now, once the internet is being stopped, under which law, which authority internet has to be stopped?
Sir, prior to 2017, there were two general laws under which the internet was suspended. First one is, sir, section 69(a) of the IT Act 2000, and second was we used to executive magistrate exercise under the section 133 of the Code of Civil Procedure 1973. But after the 2017, there was also an
the law has not changed. The judgment has only explained what is the correct procedure.
Yes, sir. Section 7 of the Telegraph Act, under which a rule has been framed in 2017, temporary suspension of internet services rules 2017, under
Section
which
7 permits you to frame rules, or Section 7 authorizes you to stop it?
Section 7 permits to make a rule under which the temporary suspension.
So what is the section which permits you to stop the internet, or gives you the permission for snooping or any controlling power to government? Which section of Telegraph Act?
Sir, I'm not able to recall the exact section.
There are telegraph rules.
Yes.
Can you mention what are the rules? Because you are dealing with artificial intelligence. All
Yes,
those
sir.
things ultimately will get involved.
Sir,
there.
first one is the temporary suspension
So
of
temporary
rules.
suspension.
Of
You mentioned under Section 7 some rules are framed.
yes,
So
sir.
can you name the rules?
So the first rule has been mentioned in 2017, temporary suspension of internet at public emergency or public services rules 2017, sir. It has been framed under section 7 of Telegraph Act.
Okay. What was the ratio of Anuradha Bhashin judgment?
I am not able to, sorry, sir.
Okay. What changes were made?
Sir, in Ranjit Dev Desi case, the Hicklin test was obscenity.
Yeah, so that's the old thing.
Now in
Avik Sarkar, what changes came?
comparative comparison tests has been charted by this Honorable Court, where the comparative analysis must be done by the act framed by the Parliament or any legislature, whether they have impact on a society or not. So there must be a comparative analysis of the law as well as its impact on the social values, sir.
I would like to talk upon one of the subject, one of the topic of your choice and favorite.
Sir, all are my favorite, but I have an interest to study the contract and tort law, sir.
Contract and
Tort.
So tell us something about any legal provision in Constitution of India regarding contract. Is there any provision relating to contract under
Yes,
in
sir.
Indian Constitution?
Yes, Article 300 of Indian Constitution that talks about contract, where the contract or central
If Indian government want to enter into any contract with any foreign agency,
Yes,
who is the authorized signatory?
Sir, it must be entered on the name of President of India in case of central government, and in case of state government, the governor of state.
or any person delegated in whose favor delegation has been taken. Tell us something about difference between wagering contract and contingent contract.
Sir, wagering contract and contingent contract. Section 30 of Indian Contract Act 1872 talks about the wagering agreement. It does not provide a definition, but it provides that by wagering, by way of wager, a contract would be void and not enforceable. But the definition of wagering agreement has been given in Carlyle versus Carbolic Smoke Ball Company by the Justice Hawkins. He said that when there is an agreement contains two opposite notions relating to the happening of an uncertain event, and on the determination of that event, one promised to pay another person some sort of money, some sum of money. So this is the basic meaning of or definition of wagering agreement. Whereas the contingent contract, it has been defined under section 31 of Indian Contract Act 1872, which says that contingent contract is a contract to do and not to do anything. And this to do and not to do anything is based on a collateral transaction. If it does or does not happens, any event does not happen. So there is a collateral transaction that is attached to the in case of contingent contract.
What is the golden line that distinguishes both the concept?
Sir, golden line in order to distinguish that in case of wagering agreement, sir, there is a uncertainty of events and there is no other interest of the parties, only to win or less.
Same uncertainty lies in the contingent
but
contract.
That uncertainty, sir, depends upon a happening or not happening of an event. So where contract is different from collateral transaction, sir. But here there is no such collateral transaction. Here the collateral transaction is inbuilt in terms of contract. But in contingent contracts, sir, collateral transaction is different. Like happening of I would, sir, if you permit me, I would discuss with the example. Like my house will be, I will give you 1000 rupees if my house will be burned. So burning of my house is another thing. That is collateral transaction. That is not related to contract, that I will have to pay the 10,000 rupees. So sir, here collateral transactions are independent to the contract, and in situation there are uncertainty that can be considered as a collateral transaction, but it is inbuilt in terms of contract, sir.
Okay. If the condition upon which contract has been entered into becomes impossible,
yes, sir,
then what would be the consequence of that contract?
Sir, it would be in
terms of contingent contract. If A and B enter into a contingent contract,
yes, sir,
depending the performance of contract upon an event, if the event become impossible, what would be the fate of this contingent contract?
Sir, if event will be impossible, there may be such circumstances where if the event may be impossible,
then such contract will become void.
Will become void, sir.
What is difference between misrepresentation and fraud?
Sir, misrepresentation,
basic difference, yes, only one or two.
In case of, sir, misrepresentation, there is no intent to deceive or induce, but in case of fraud there is a intention lies in order to deceive and induce for entering into contracts, sir.
You can elaborate your view with help of some illustration.
Misrepresentation, sir, say for example, I am not aware about a particular things without any intention to deceive someone, but I am saying this thing.
Again you are talking in abstract. I am saying can you give some illustration which make fine distinction between the two?
Sir, in case of,
if there is a shopkeeper,
yes, sir,
who is in profession of selling boots and shoes,
yes,
and the shop is being run by some agent,
yes, sir,
the agent represent before the customer that see this is a shoe made of bata. He shows the wrapper of the shoe, but he inadvertently puts some shoe which is not made of bata, but he puts that shoe into a wrapper where it has been written in bold letter that it is a bata shoe.
yes, sir,
And the customer, believing upon the representation of the agent, entered into the contract and parted 5,000 rupees, believing that the shoe is made of Bata, it's a brand company, whether the contract is caused by fraud or misrepresentation?
Sir, it is caused by misrepresentation, because there was no intention to deceive. Like,
Okay.
I have to supply this product.
Can you highlight some landmark judgment upon fraud? Fraud is upon section 13 or section 17 of Indian
Yes, sir.
Contract Act.
Sir, in Deeks versus
Yeah, this is a landmark judgment.
yes, sir.
What is difference between charge and lease?
Sir, charge and lease, sir. Section 100.
Or mortgage and lease?
Mortgage and charge.
You can choose any two and you can answer.
Sir, I would like to, sir, I prepared charge and mortgage.
Okay.
Sir, charge has been defined under section 100 of.
Don't define, only
property.
give distinction.
Yes, sir. Charge where immovable property is made as security, as a payment for the as a security for the payment of loan, and the transaction does not amount to mortgage. And in case of mortgage, there is a transfer of immovable property from one person to another person as a payment of as a security for the payment of a loan. But in case of charge, there is a no transfer, sir. Another things, charge may be arise, sir, by the act of parties and by operation of law. But mortgage can only be, sir, the transaction of mortgage can only be done by the, sir, by act of the parties. That is the inter bios.
Now, final question from the constitutional law.
Yes,
Define what is fundamental right.
sir, there is no exact definition of the fundamental rights.
No, I am asking, give me definition.
Sir, fundamental rights is right that is guaranteed by Constitution under the Part 3rd of Indian Constitution.
Is it complete definition?
So legally it is complete, I think.
If I would have been asked this question, I would have been answering, fundamental rights are those rights enshrined or guaranteed under Part 3rd, which are available against the person mentioned under the Part 3rd and enforceable against the state or individual.
Sir, there is a lacuna on this definition, because there are several rights which is not available to every person. There are rights which are available to citizens only, sir.
Yeah, I said it, either citizen or to subject.
Sir, any person.
Or any person. Any person includes citizen as well.
Yes, sir.
But citizen does not include any person.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, sir, please.
Okay, so you have a varied experience, vast exposure that way. And you have very original exposure of various geographical terrains also. But the topic you chose for is artificial intelligence.
Sir, actually
What
I worked.
attracted you to, no, it is good that you are ready with your answer, but you must have patience to hear the question also.
That's the first
At
quality.
times you,
Supposed to,
you
yeah.
get tipped.
Yes.
So my thing, this I wanted to know from you, what attracted you to artificial intelligence? Tell me something more elaborate about this topic, artificial intelligence, and what up till now you have done in this your area of research.
Sir, there is two reason why I have opted.
What is the topic of your research?
Sir, the study of technological advancement and various dimensions of law with respect to artificial intelligence and autonomous systems, sir.
Okay.
Sir, there is two reasons behind selection of this topic. First one is that I worked in LLM research project that was related to the autonomous constitutional autonomy of Jammu and Kashmir. But at that time, when it got repealed, so I got no option. Then and I got a book from my brother who is working in IT sector, and where that was related to artificial intelligence, and I was inclined towards the Elon Musk, how he is working in this area. So I started searching Google, the literature review, the process, and I got to know what would be the implication of artificial intelligence on legal field, sir.
Okay.
So first and foremost question.
So he's trying to suggest to replace a judge by a computer. So our job is in danger. Huh?
No, sir, that's
Recently in China, China has introduced one robot replacing a real judge.
Robot justice, yes.
A robot justice.
sir,
So yes, please continue.
one of the important aspect which I got that that when laws were made at initial stage of time, only the human beings were the subject of the law. It was only made for the to govern the behavior of human beings. But after the framing of laws, different other non-human entities came into picture, like companies, industries, industrial revolutions took place. Then in order to control the company and industries, we interpreted this entity, this non-human entity, as a legal person, and in order to keep it within the ambit of law. The first most question, as being a law student and I have read the jurisprudence, sir, then I got first question whether this entity, artificial entity like robots or Tesla cars, driverless car, must have been given, whether they should have given a legal entity or not. Because if we are not giving a legal entity, then we cannot put him within the ambit of law. So second question, that is related to the human rights perspective. The under Universal Declaration of Human Rights, sir, it has been mentioned that the scientific benefit must be given to all, sir, under Article 27. And this scientific benefit relating to education, as we have seen in COVID situation, relating to health, so it must be given to each and everyone.
First of all, what I am trying to do is to tell you the areas where you can improve upon.
Yes.
First is your intro.
Yes.
Cut it short. Don't tell about your name or anything. Don't even talk about a law in Kashmir.
Okay, sir.
Because once you are doing a PhD in law or you have done LLM, it is presumed that you must have done LLB. Okay.
Okay, sir.
So what we are trying to is, अगर मैं लंबा 6 वाक्य बोलता हूँ, my strength will be lost. If I speak only one sentence or two sentences, my strength will be remain in the mind of the board. What is your strength? Artificial intelligence. You are doing a research work on that. So just give 1 or 2 line intro. Okay, sir, I have done my LLM from this university and right now pursuing my PhD on this particular subject. Now a good amount of business is being done through internet.
Yes.
You have been in Kashmir, the problem was tourists were getting harassed, hospitals were not able to, you could not. So freedom of trade. It means the restrictions will have to take care of both.
Okay, sir.
Not only the restrictions of 19(1)(a), but also freedom of trade.
Yes.
But you are not aware about it. Not many people will be aware about it. You should have said, no, I only know one thing, freedom of expression.
Okay, sir.
Good enough.
Yes, sir.
Rather than giving a wrong answer.
Wrong answer.
It tells me 2 things. One, you are not aware. Secondly, you are forceful about it, because I try to guide you.
Third thing also.
Okay, sir.
Section 5 gives somebody right to snoop. Section 7, when I asked you, then you said yes. It is an enabling provision making you rules. You can make rules.
Don't be factually error.
So factual errors create a lot of problem.
That suggests wrong message.
Okay, sir.
Okay, and especially when you are being cued for that, कि इसमें आप गलती तो नहीं कर रहे हैं.
हाँ. When it is
उसके
query.
बाद फिर हमने आपसे पूछा अनुराधा मशीन का रेशियो. The ratio was very simple. They accepted internet as a part of your freedom of expression.
आपने पीएचडी का हाइपोथेसिस वगैरह अच्छे से पढ़ के रखिएगा.
Yes, sir.
जो आपके एम, ऑब्जेक्ट और पर्पज है पीएचडी का, चैप्टराइजेशन वगैरह अगर कर चुके हो,
Yes,
इस पे
sir.
भी ध्यान दीजिएगा. कुछ आर्टिकल, बुक्स या लिटरेचर जो भी अपने उस पीएचडी के लिए आपने पढ़े हो, कभी कभी ये जिज्ञासा वाला व्यक्ति जो पीएचडी होल्डर होगा वो जरूर पूछ बैठेगा कि इसके आपने क्या क्या रिसोर्सेज पढ़े. ठीक
जी
है.
सर.
और जो भी कई चीज़ें आपकी बहुत अच्छी थी, बस उसको आपको इंटेंशन समझना है कि क्वेश्चन पूछा क्या जा रहा है. सबसे पहले उसी को रीड करना है. ठीक है.
Okay, sir.
अगर डेफिनेशन नहीं पूछा गया, डिफरेंसेस पूछेगा तो हमें डायरेक्टली डिफरेंसेस पे बताना है. ये मान के चलना है कि डिफिनेशन उनको पता है, हमें वहीं
Okay,
से
sir.
शुरुआत करना है. आंसर जैसे सर ने कहा कि शॉर्ट रखिएगा, 1 मिनट से ज़्यादा का आंसर अच्छा नहीं माना जाता. और एग्जैक्टली आप पीएचडी शो कर सकते हैं, जेआरएफ शो कर सकते हैं, इस पे बात भी हो सकती है.
JRF is up to you, because I feel आप एकदम आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस पर फोकस
सर
करिए.
इस पर एक क्वेश्चन ये बन सकता है कि जे जो है वो सबऑर्डिनेट सर्विसेज में है, बी ग्रेड सर्विस में आता है, और आप प्रोफेसरशिप में
वही इसी में मतलब JRF ना मेंशन करें तो अच्छा है.
नहीं मेंशन करिए, बट उसको जस्टिफाई करिए.
हाँ.
ठीक है.
Okay, sir.
उसको जस्टिफाई करिएगा, इस पर अपना सोच रखिएगा
Okay, sir.
कि इवन आई एम हैविंग जेआरएफ, लेकिन मेरा जो बेस्ट चॉइस है, बेस्ट एक्सरसाइज ऑफ चॉइस है वो जुडिशियल सर्विस है.
और आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का यूज आप जब पोस्ट हो जाओगे तो कैसे कर सकते हो?
ये सब भी
जी सर,
हाँ,
यस सर,
क्योंकि
एग्जैक्टली।
कल आप पीसीएस-J में पोस्ट हो जाएंगे तब तो आप बैठ के कोर्ट में केसेस
या आप
देखेंगे।
अपना बैठ के सोचिएगा, पॉइंटर बना लीजिएगा, वो आपको आंसर अपने आप
कोई लोग खुद बताएंगे आपको
हाँ।
जब ये वीडियो क्लिप
ठीक है,
देखेंगे।
next generation।
और एक बहुत छोटी सी चीज़, आपने अपनी शुरुआत कैसे किया था? माई से,
माई सेल्फ,
शायद पुरानी इंग्लिश हो गई है, कहते हैं आए हम, देख लेना इसको।
नहीं, माइसेल का जो हिंदी है वो गलत है।
इंग्लिश में जैसे
माइसेल का जब आप ट्रांसलेट करेंगे तो रॉन्ग, जो आप इंट्रोडक्शन
और मेरे ख्याल से आपको नाम बताने की जरूरत भी नहीं है।
नहीं सर,
आपके
उसमें नाम नहीं
लिखा ही हुआ
बताया,
है।
यस सर,
हाँ,
तो आप सिर्फ ये कहिए कि मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ,
ओके सर,
बिकॉज उससे क्वेश्चन फ्लो होना चाहिए।
ओके सर,
और डायरेक्टली आप एलएलएम और पीएचडी के पे आ जाइए। एलएलबी को ऑब्वियसली वो बट अंडरस्टूड है, अंडरस्टूड है, क्योंकि आपका वो जो जे&के का रिलेशन है वो थोड़ा सा क्वेश्चनेबल है, उससे क्वेश्चन बनना शुरू हो
फिर
जाएगा।
उसमें दुनिया भर के 370 पे कोई बात
हाँ,
चालू कर दी
वो
है।
अलग
और
एरिया
क्या
में
है?
चला जाएगा।
हाँ।
आपका स्ट्रेंथ है लॉ के पढ़ाई लिखाई,
हाँ।
इंडिया
कोई जर्नलिज्म की बात चालू हो जाएगी।
हाँ, हाँ, ठीक है।
थैंक यू सर, थैंक यू।
ओके।